Peace. What's good, folks? Check it out, yo. As y'all can see, I did not update. I got a MPC Live version 1, and I'm so tempted because that new firmware looks insane. They added the Sims in there. That's crazy. But being as though that this MPC is a Live version 1, it got 2 gigs of RAM, and the processors is old. I was on the fence of updating. Still on the fence. Once I see more people that update, then eventually I'll probably update. But this is my setup. I'm gonna let y'all know what equipment I got here and why I use it. Everybody function differently. Everybody got different methods to the madness. One thing I learned in my long 30 plus years as a recording engineer and so forth, right, is that you can get 5 people in a room with the same machine, and I guarantee you all 5 of them will operate that machine differently. And that's just proven fact for me in my experience. So needless to say, all right, so I got the MPC Live. Now I use the MPC Live as a sound module and a drum machine controller, drum pad controller. That's what I use the Live for. One of the world's most, not one of, I would say the new MPCs are the world's most powerful sampler standalone workstations that's out ever. You know what I'm saying? Hands down. As far as the workflow, you get some plugins put in these new MPCs, get you like a little MIDI controller. You don't need no computer. Straight up, you don't need no computer. You don't even need no external sound modules. What Akaya did with these machines is ridiculous. All right, so anyway, the MPC Live, and then up here, I got the Behringer RD8 drum machine. Now, granted, I cannot afford a real Roland TR-808. But when it comes to the clone, Behringer, from the guts inside, it looks different. It got some modern stuff like USB and different pads and so forth. However, the guts inside of here is a clone of the real 808, like hands down. I mean, y'all can watch the YouTube videos and see the difference between a real 808 as well as the 909 clone. And another thing that both of these drum machines is 100% pure analog. Pure analog. No digital, nothing. They straight drum machine synthesizers. Drum designer. Right? So these are my 2 machines, right? Then I have the LM drum. Now, besides the fact that you can get the classic Lindrum sound out of these machines, one of the things that a lot of people didn't pay attention to is that the LM drum is a true 8 by 12 bit variable sampler drum machines. True 12-bit, true 8-bit drum machines. And the sample rate is at, what is it? It's 12-bit, 24 kilohertz. Pretty much practically the same as a SB1200. And also it got built-in analog filters. So this drum machine is a hybrid analog digital drum machine sampler. What make this drum machine dope as well is it has 16 independent D8 DACs inside of them, digital analog converters inside of them, 16 independent digital to analog converters. That's what make this little, and I call this my drum converter or sample converter. That's what I use it for. But I'm triggering everything with the MPC, and then I got everything running in Studio One, because I'm using Studio One as my main sequencer, and I'll let y'all know in a few why I use the Studio One as my main sequencer. Over here is my baby, and this is the MPC 4000. What make this unit so special, right? Excuse me, I got a sinus issue going on here, so excuse me, right? The reason why the reason why I say that the MPC 4000 is iconic is one known fact that this was the last original MPC that was made by the original owners of Akaya. That's number one. And when they left Akaya, when they sold Akaya, they wanted to at the time make the world's most powerful drum machine samplers, and they created the MPC 4000. And it's funny because when they first came out, they were so complex, so different that everybody was shitting on them joints. At least I was, and a lot of people that I know, a lot of known producers that I know too, was like, man, that shit too is like it's way too complex. They was used to the simplicity of a 2000 XL, a 60, a 3000, and 62. Everybody was used to that workflow, and this workflow was totally different, but way more powerful, light years ahead of its time. What make this drum machine unique, and as still to this day, this does something that the modern MPC samplers can't do. One of them in standalone, right? Now, granted, this got software that, called Axis, that you can plug and control the MPC 4000 with. But it's an old ass software that's on 32-bit operating systems and shit. And nowadays, nobody's using 32-bit, operating systems on a computer. You have to get an old computer and then connect it, right? Anyway, what make this unique is that this is the only drum machine sampler out of all the MPCs that can record at 24-bit 96K standalone. Now, for some of y'all to say, nah, bro, you wrong. I said standalone. I didn't say in controller mode. So with the new MPCs, in order to record at 24-bit 96K, you have to go through USB onto your computer. Let me rewind that. You have to go USB out of the MPC onto the computer in order to record at 24-bit 96K. You can't do it in standalone. The max is 24-bit 48K in standalone, meaning that when you sample, that's the highest bit rate and sample rate that you can get is 24-bit. Same on both machines, but the sample rate, you at 48K. And if you're into sampling like off these machines right here, the higher the sample rate you get, the more accurate and more the more accurate of a sample you're going to get, and the dynamic range is going to be higher. You see what I'm saying? So, the digital clipping is not going to happen and shit. And that's what you'll get when you, when you start hitting these converters, you'll start getting digital clipping. Unlike this joint right here, to clip this right here, you really got to slam the hell out of whatever you got coming into this joint. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like really slam it to get digital clipping jumping off in here. And plus, on top of that, These have analog op amps built inside of them as well, which is coming from the same series as some of the large format consoles like Solid State Logic and so forth. So this would make this particular MPC 4000 different from all the rest of the MPCs. And here's the one of the things too that make the MPC 4000 different from even the new MPCs, right? Is that when you resample in here, it actually process and records, create a brand new file. It writes that information onto a new file. So when you lower the sample rate and lower the bit rate and resample, when it creates that new sample, it's going to create a real 12-bit sample or 24-bit sample or 8. I think it go down all the way down to 8-bit sample. So you can get real sounds that sound like the MPC 60, the 62, the 3000. You can at least get the bit rate and the sample rate. As far as the sonic character, each machine got its own sonic character, but you pretty much can shape and create those same sounds using this machine right here. Definitely, especially when you run it through the filters and compressors and all that other stuff, you definitely can get the sonic qualities of those machines. And that's what make the MPC 4000 unique. And then on top of that, it's a tank. It's a tank. Another thing that this machine has that I didn't see on either of the new MPC second gen drum machines is that you can get word clock in and out on here. I think it's word clock out. I'm not sure if it's in, but you can get a word clock card put in here and an ADAT card in here on this machine. So if you don't want you don't want to go through another converter, you can get the ADAT, and you can use this as the main final converter and shit. You know what I'm saying? Before, straight, it converts everything to digital, and then from here, it don't have to. Once it hit your audio interface, there's no conversion happening. It is already converted into digital. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what make this machine unique. And every machine that I have right here serves a different purpose. If I want that classic Lindrum sound with that Lindrum swing and a punch of the Lindrum, then this right here is definitely the shit. And if I want the modern, fast workflow with some of the illest plugins and shit like that, as far as built-in plugins or air plugins, the MPC Live or the new MPCs is fucking off and portability. I could take this shit out, right? If I wanted to go somewhere, I could just unplug this, put this in my bag, and I'm ghost. You know what I'm saying? I can go somewhere, throw my headphones on, and just work on the track. And with the Live 2, you got the speaker. You don't even need headphones, so to speak, So that's the workflow as far as my drums and samples and how, sample. I either use vinyl records. I use AI like it was a record store. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much with AI, sampling records right now and dealing with publishing and clearing samples and blah, 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 blah. Unless if you doing white labels or you just doing it strictly for your own leisure. Sometimes I got crates of records, and sometimes I go through a record and chop up a sample just to get the vibe, you know what I'm saying? But I know that at this point right now, I'm not trying to, be hunted down or get flagged on YouTube and all the drama that comes behind using copyrighted works. When it comes to AI, The machines obviously learned off our asses and all the content and everything that we posted online. Yeah, they did. Um, there's nothing we can do about it. It literally is nothing we can do about it. The only thing we can do is just make banging ass fucking music that's better than AI and use those tools. Use AI as a tool, and how I use it is that take the output from AI and I do what anybody that has been working with MPC since its inception is take those samples and chop them shits up and create bangers. Let me see, do I got my volume turned down? Listen, right now I'm gonna let y'all hear a skeleton track. But let me see, do I got anything on here? Yeah. So oh, my bad, y'all. So here's a skeleton track. Yeah, so that's a skeleton track. And right quick, because I'm going on 15 minutes on this post right now. I've been rambling on. So needless to say, here's the plugins I'm using. Let me let my camera focus in a little bit. Let me zoom that in right there. There we go. Boom. All right, so here's the Solid State Logic 9000 J series console. Was a classic console that they used that we used in the 90s on a lot of records, majority hip hop and R&B records from the 90s and early 2000s and so forth. Even now, people still use the Solid State Logic 9000 J series console. That's what I got on the kick drum. I'ma disable all the plugins, then I'ma let y'all hear the difference. Let me solo the kick drum. All right, run this back for the top. And here we go. Let me turn it up a little bit. So this with nothing on it. And then here's with the 9 on there. Without. With it on. You use these plugins sparingly. You know what I'm saying? Use them, you don't have to put a whole bunch on them because, you know what I'm saying, a lot of these drums and stuff like that, some of them been already pre-processed already. So you don't need to, sometimes less is more, right? So that's what I did. I put that on there, the SSL 9000. And my favorite plugin, one of my favorite EQs from SSL is the X EQ2 because it's surgical. This EQ right here is you can sweep the hell out of a frequency and pinpoint every part of that frequency that you want to adjust the volume on. As y'all can see this by this curve, I've rounded off the bass right there, let it dip, and then I pushed it up in the low mids to give it more punch. So without that plug-in on, let me play it right quick. Up. This is without it. And this with it on. put it out. He said he had it punched, but it's thin. Now is the bass is more rounded and warm. See what I'm saying? Play that back. See what I'm saying? So yeah, that, you know, right now that's a skeleton track. I ain't even finished the beat. And right quick, I got a couple more minutes. How I use the MPC with Studio One. I did a whole video on this, but I record everything into one track. You know, I trigger everything over here on the MP, drums, the guitars, the samples, and everything that you heard in this beat. I triggered on one channel on the MPC, and I exploded it into, you know, in Studio One to individual MIDI channels. And then I made my little adjustments, little tweaks and everything like that. And then I bounced everything down to audio files. I didn't put no effects on it. I, you know, left everything dry, because when it's time to add the effects and everything, I can use the same plugins that the MPC have. I can use them inside of Studio One. So all the Air plugins and MPC plugins I have right here in Studio One. If you go right here to Akaya, well, into Air Music, all the plugins is right there. Let me kind of, yeah, so all the plugins is right there. Oh, that's the instruments, my bad. Scroll up here. Y'all think, y'all like, yo, that's the instruments, man. So boom, they go Flex Beat right there. And all the Air plugins is right there. See what I'm saying? So this is how, you know, I use the MPC inside of Studio One. And I got all my machines and everything routed and coming straight into Studio One. Another thing with Studio One is that the way I personally, my purpose as a producer and a composer is that I you know, you do music and sound design. I do music for film and things of that nature. With Studio One, I could print out sheet music. Also, Studio One has a video player that you could take the music and print it right onto the video. So you can score the film. So, prime example, if I open up the player right here, where you at? Right there. Let me drag it over here. So here go the video player that you can expand. You know, you can make it bigger or whatever the case may be, right? But I would normally drag that onto my other monitor right here. So I got the video playing right there while I'm, you know, doing sound design and scoring for the actual film. So, you know, that's one of the reasons I use Studio One. And then as a sequencer, Studio One is just as powerful as an MPC, sequencing wise. Now, granted, the MPC I still like as a sequencer, obviously, for the mere fact you got the XY functionalities and things of that nature, but Studio One can give me the same flavor, and I can, if I wanted to use the XY features on the MPC, I still can do it, you know, controlling instruments and plugins inside of Studio One. You know what I mean? And then one last thing, and what I like about Studio One is that you can sequence, compose music, record, mix, and master, print out sheet music, print out lyric sheets, all in one environment without having to go to another DAW. And the MPC software opens right up inside Studio One. you know, and I didn't obviously I didn't update to the latest MPC software yet. Again, that's because I got, you know, the MPC Live got 2 gigs of RAM with old processors. I'm still on the fence about that. As soon as I see a lot of people that crossed over from the 2.15 firmware, once I see a lot of people with no issues on their machines, then I'll switch over. Or I'm so tempted to get the new Gen 2 MPCs because of the synth engine inside of it. And for a person like me that does sound design and things of that nature, I can have tons of fun with that, you know, with the new update. But I didn't update yet. And for all the people that did get the MPC sample, for me, I don't travel, you know, all over the place and be wanting to make beats on a go and shit. When I leave the studio, I want to get out of the studio, honestly, get away from the studio and kind of do something different, whether it's filming or doing something else, shooting, you know, whatever, right? Going to the gun range, whatever, right? Instead of me getting an MPC sample, which I was tempted on getting, I decided to take that instead of spending $400, I spent $600 and wound up getting this right here. You know, 88 key controller, Fatar keys. This is the Studio Logic SL88. Beautiful controller, beautiful, high quality, and the functionality is ridiculous as a controller. I control plugins and everything, you know, and then they got the joystick action jumping off there and the modulation right there. I mean, I was happy with this purchase versus getting a MPC sample. Before I spend the money on a new MPC XL, I would spend my money on a Rupert Neve Orbit 16 channel summon mixer, which is actually cheaper than the what you call it, than MPC XL. And that's just me. You know, I would have more usage for a Neve 16 channel Neve summon mixer than I would the MPC XL in my world, in my workflow. Because I already got, you know, a couple MPCs and, you know, practically I'm not using the MPC as a standalone unit. And when I do use it as a standalone unit, I'm using a 4000. I'm not using a 2000 XL as a standalone unit, you know, and that's just me. But anyway, I hope y'all found this content resourceful, and it's not about the goddamn equipment, you know, because like I was saying, I don't know if I said it in this video, nobody give a damn, yo. The people that listen to music, they don't give a fuck what you make the music on. Grant, they listen to streaming music. Just think, we spent all this money on all this equipment and shit like that just for people to stream my music and pay the artist 0.00.3 to 4% of a penny per stream. Out of that 0.00.3%, 4%, the artist still has to pay the producers. So motherfuckers and you need a lot of streams in order to make $4,000. You need a lot of damn streams in order to make $4,000. And $4,000 in today's time is not a lot of money. I think it's like you need a million streams you can make 4 grand on, I believe, if my math ain't off. You know how hard it is to get a million streams legitimately for like any new or up and coming artist. It takes a lot to get a million streams, and you only make $4,000, and the streaming companies controls all the data, so you don't have access to each fan that listens to your music. That information gets sold to advertisers. So think about that. Think about that shit right there. The only people that's really making a lot of money off streaming is you know, your Kendrick Lamars and Drakes and Jay-Z's and Beyonce, people, Kelly Clarkson and all these big super mega stars and Kanye and they're making a significant amount of money off streams, but it's not radio money. Radio money, they was paying 5 cents for every time your music got played. 5 cents. It sounds like a little bit of money, but if your shit playing nationwide or even internationally, that money was a significant amount of money, yo. You see what I'm saying? So, and now we got AI. Do you know it's over 20,000 AI records that's on these streaming platforms that get uploaded every day? 20,000 AI records get uploaded on these streaming platforms every day. So for people like us, it's not doom and gloom. If anything, we should be happy as hell. We want these people, all these people that's creating this AI music to flood the streaming platforms with nothing but AI. We want them to flood it. Hopefully it'd be like a DDoS attack where everybody just flood the whole entire streaming platforms with AI music. Because what's going to happen is for people that spent our hard-earned money and our natural talent on this equipment is going to add more value to what we do. And we don't have to rely on streaming platforms because we can send people directly to our own platform, to our own sites. Direct to consumer. We can press up our own vinyl records. And you believe it or not, vinyl records made a huge comeback. Huge comeback because even a lot of fans, you got fans and you got super fans. The super fan base is the ones that you feed. That's the people you make music for. That's who you make music for. You make music for people that actually go out there and go to your concerts, people that pay for your music, that support you, that love your music. That's who you make music for. You see what I'm saying? It's not about making money, so to speak. I mean, even though we got to recoup the cost of, our investments and recording and everything like that, but it's about making good music. Make music that can outlive you. You see what I'm saying? And that's just my take on it. You do what the hell you want to do. Like what you eat don't make me shit. You dig what I'm saying? It's just my advice here. So again, y'all, this is Riot and Rip. Hopefully y'all found some kind of information, some kind of jewels in the shit that I dropped. Signing out. Peace.